Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Founders Grid, sponsored by Gaper.io. Today we have Justin. Justin is a vice president at Goodway Group. Justin, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Mustafa. It's great to be here.
So, give us a brief background about yourself, what you've been doing before joining Goodway Group.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been fortunate enough to be in the same industry for a long time. So I've spent the last 15 years in building and developing high performing sales teams that partner with some of the most dynamic brands in the world. So think Netflix, Disney, Uber, Airbnb, and so on. Previously to Goodway, I've held leadership roles across AOL, Yahoo, Verizon, and currently at Goodway. And I started my career at Yahoo in the internet days, and I never really looked back. And today, I'm fortunate enough to work for an amazing company that's family owned and has been around for 90 years.
Wow.
Actually started in 1929 as a printing press company and has been pivoting to radio, print, media, and of course, as progressive as programmatic, digital display, connective tissue between where folks are spending their time, and really just being a solution-based partner for brands and agencies across the globe.
Wow, amazing, amazing. So, how's the journey been so far with Goodway?
The journey's been pretty amazing, and actually, the journey has been so unique that it's actually led me from the US to launching Goodway and Control vs. Expose, which is another company under Goodway that really focuses on the consultancy solution and really just putting the client at the center of all of our conversations, and had the privilege of launching into APAC on behalf of Goodway. And so we had a lot of success there, and I'm now back in the US and living in Boston, and have had the privilege of working with our entire team, which is 100% remote. We've been remote for the last 10 plus years, 340 people working across the globe, mostly focused in the US, but we do have a pretty nice office in the UK and also in Singapore as well. So we are moving and grooving through this pandemic pivot, and really hyper focused on growth right now and making sure that our clients are getting the resources they need, whether it's through our data science team, our smart thinking and traders, our client services team. But really the conversation for us always starts with what is the problem you're trying to solve today? And then just really getting creative and authentic in the moment to try to figure that out.
All right. Nice, amazing. Good luck. So, remote company for 10 years, wow, that's just amazing. Okay, so COVID has forced a lot of traditional companies, has forced everyone to go remote, right? So the insurance sector, banking sector, pre-COVID, you used to talk to them, hire remote someone, then, you'll be getting like data security and all kind of those things. You could go back and forth and nothing used to happen. But now all of them are even forced to go remote, right? So going forward, post-COVID, do you think remote is going to stick around, or the world is going to go back to normal?
It's a great question. And to be honest, I actually think remote is not going anywhere. If anything, COVID has accelerated our future. In many ways, it's accelerated digital marketing in areas where folks maybe might not have been thinking about their investments on digital across devices while folks are at home, to now people need to work, live, and adapt at home on demand while taking care of their families, their children, their dogs. Everything you could possibly imagine is now part of their daily ritual. And I think there will be some kind of hybrid in the future where there's still going to be very prominent work from home for a while. Let's be honest, if a vaccine happens at some point next year, I don't think everyone's going to be raising their hand and saying, I'm ready to get the vaccine, let's go. So it's going to take time to adapt and pivot through that moment. And there's going to be some undertones of safety concerns. And I think employers putting their employees first and making sure their employees feel safe is going to be key to that company thriving in that moment. And safety is going to come on an individual basis on how they feel. And I don't think rushing back to the office is going to be that pillar that's going to move the needle. So I think having the fundamentals in place so that employees feel safe and they have access to the tools and access to their team and allowing them to thrive in this environment is going to be key for sustainability in the future.
God, interesting. Uh, Sales doing remotely over Zoom. What's it like? How's the experience? How to go about it? What to look for?
Great question as well. I think sales over Zoom has probably flexed the creativity more, at least for myself, always having been in sales pretty much my whole career. I'm an external guy. I get my energy, similar to you, I think, from being around people and just breathing in the oxygen of those around me. And now we're doing that with masks on and we're doing it through a screen. And I think adaptability is key, and outlook is probably equally as important as adaptability, because if we're going to focus on the things that are barriers, like our screen, the fact that we're not in person, I think we're always going to come up with these scenarios that might not work. The reality is we now have an opportunity to get into people's living room, into their kitchen, and to see folks in their natural habitat. And I think if you lead with that environment as a forward thinking thought of, wow, I get to talk to this person there at home. Sure, there might be a crying baby in the background. That's okay. That's just texture to the call. It's not necessarily disruptive. It's just another element of the conversation, and it's not disruptive. It's actually positive, and it brings you into a layer deeper of that conversation. So I think those who want to be optimistic in this time, I think will do really well, because now you're always going to get access to folks you might not have had access to before.
Next question. Mental health of teams, right? So when COVID started, when we went under lockdown around March 15th, right? So in the first 1.5 months, the productivity of the teams were high, right? You know, me at Gaper, we have a team of more than 100. So we also saw the productivity graph rise. So, you know, me and my HR, my partners, we started discussing what's going on, right? So we reached a conclusion, maybe there's a fear factor amongst the team, you know, they're putting in extra hours and everything into it. Then eventually the productivity started stabilizing. But, you know, so we have teams in the East Coast, where in New York, especially, where the rooms, apartments are small, you know, and everything. So we're trying to see now that, you know, they're having productivity issues compared to others. So now in the company, we're discussing mental health, how to keep the mental health going on, everything. So since at your company, how do you maintain the mental health of the team and everyone, especially during tough times like pandemic? How to go?
Yeah. So full transparency, it's hard. And I think mental health is and always has been a challenge for everyone, regardless of the circumstances. And even though we've been progressive in how we think about work-life balance and work-life, really, we call it work-life integration, because it's hard to balance. Let's just be honest. It's hard to balance the external and internal factors that we all face on a daily basis. But how we resource with our teams and make sure that we're there for our teams and make sure that we're having open and honest conversations. And I think the biggest thing is making sure that we have the right resources in place for the teams, and making sure that they understand that they've got the support of their manager, of the leaders, of the president, of the CEO, and that everybody wants to be there for them, and having those constant check-ins and those honest conversations, and giving them access to psychologists and doctors, and including that as part of the insurance is something that employers can do. That's really progressive, and giving them access to these resources. I think group therapy and mental health, as we come out of where we are in 2020 and into 21, I just think it's going to be one of the hottest topics and one of the biggest concerning moments that all employers and companies really need to take seriously, because nobody's going to be able to be a top performer in any field if mental health is something that is taking over that moment. So being really sensitive to the fact that it's not easy and it's hard work, and that we really need to be there for each other now is so important.
Justin, Thank you so much for being on the show. I'm pretty sure we could have talked for at least half an hour more, but my marketing team tells me I need to keep everything within 10 to 12 minutes. But thank you so much for being on the show, and take care of yourself and stay safe.
Thank you so much. It's great to be here. Thanks for having me.